Hey guys, this is Nino here, and haven't done this for a long time. I'm gonna do talk about F1, real life F1. For I haven't done a video like this in a long time, but bear with me. I haven't. I'm talking a bit quiet because it is like 1:30 in the morning where I am, so the whole household's sleeping. But I'm just gonna talk about Hungarian Grand Prix. So this is on Friday morning 1:30, so the first practice is in like a few hours time starting. So my opinions could differ from them, so from what we see in first practice. But I'm going to talk about Hungarian Grand Prix, and then like recent F1 news and recent rumors. Yeah, about Hungary. So Hungary's always been a high downforce track. It's always been a dirty, dusty track. And Taiwan is not too bad. It's similar to that of the Nürburgring. So you could have a bet on Red Bull, dominating again. But maybe you can't see anything away from Mercedes getting pole. But it looked like in Germany, like we thought that they had their race pace sorted out after Silverstone, but looked like in Germany that they went back into square one. So I'm not sure about how Mercedes are at the moment, but one team that that could shine, Lotus. Before Germany, they've been really out of form, to be honest. So like since Spain and Monaco, they've had horrible races, and Canada as well, with Raikkonen being lapped, being lapped by Vettel. It's a really humiliating bit for them. But in Germany they got a double podium with Raikkonen second, Grosjean third. So it looks like their form is back on track. And I think if anybody's due a race victory, it'll have to be Lotus and Kimi Raikkonen. They haven't won since Australia, first race of the season. So if anybody's due a victory, it'll be them. So I wouldn't be very surprised if they do get a victory. So looking at other teams, Ferrari's also been very quiet since their last victory in Spain. They had Alonso and Massa on the podium, Alonso winning. Since then, they've been very quiet. Alonso's had a few podiums. Massa has been probably out of form again, but Hungary's been kind of a track that's not being too kind to Ferrari in the past few years. But wouldn't bet on them having a crack at the podium again. You can never rule out Alonso and getting a podium. Maybe not even getting the race victory, but it's Ferrari's looking good. Like I've already talked about Mercedes, Red Bull. You can't look away from them. Vettel, bang on form. All races except Silverstone, he's not finished outside the top four, so he's bang on form. So race win maybe, definitely a podium. I say that maybe he could have a bad one of those bad races in the season, but I wouldn't pull away on Vettel. Other teams, look at Force India. They've been on cracking good form. I think if anybody's due a podium, it'll have to be Force India. But the rest has had both the rest and Suto have had cracks at podiums. I think Silverstone's been one of them. The other, Bahrain, the rest was about 5 laps from a podium, and before being taken away by I think it was Grosjean, who took away from him like in the final few laps. But they've had a few cracks on podiums, and they've had that race pace visible. They've had kind of bad luck in qualifying. The rest have been very vocal in the disappointing qualifying results, and mainly it's not been mainly they've had the good qualifying pace. It's just mainly been the team's fault, and the team's fault in like probably misleading weather information, or not getting their cars out on track at the correct time. If they do get a good qualifying position in Hungary, you might have a good bet on forcing and get a podium. What other teams? McLaren, obviously they've had a kind of dull season at the moment. They've had been a few shines. They had double points in Germany, so it's been a good shine. And if anybody's good at developing their car, mid-season towards the end of the season, it'll have to be McLaren. They're probably the best in developing their car throughout the season. They've shown that in the past. Arguably Ferrari had the better developmental progress throughout last season, but McLaren have also always been good developing their car, and I wouldn't be surprised if they bring in a good variant of upgrades in Hungary or in Belgium. We could see them in the future, and maybe a double points again could be good for them. So, but towards the end of the season, if the development program progress, is bang on track, then we wouldn't see away from them trying to get a podium towards the end of the season, maybe. But it will depend on them. Button and Perez have been doing the hardest they can. And like the inter team battle between them two have been very interesting between Button and Perez. Obviously, Button being very vocal on Perez's aggressiveness in driving, but it's completely normal for Perez. He's shown signs of form in the past few races, and so couldn't bet on McLaren getting double points again. It could look at a high of a fifth position. I think that's the highest position to date. I can't remember which race, but that's a good one. What other teams? Sauber. I hope they try and find some form, because they've really been in the spotlight the past weeks. Obviously with signing a deal with I think it was a Russian business that has I can't remember the age. It was a 17 or 19-year-old Russian driver to race for them for 2014. Talk about that. Obviously, Sauber's been in vocally dire financial difficulties in the past few weeks since Germany. There've been rumors that Hulkenberg could be out of Sauber and on his way to Lotus. That all I've seen that is just rumor and nothing true. But if you're in financial difficulties, you take what you get for Sauber. But I think getting a business and to give a seat to a 70-year-old driver, to fast track a 70-year-old driver, is really, really desperate. I don't know how desperate their financial situation is, but it is really desperate if they're willing to fast track a 17-year-old Russian driver straight into the seat from next season. I don't know if they're going to keep Gutierrez. I think they should, but I think probably Hulkenberg will move forward. He's looking at he left Force India, where he was very good at Force India. Arguably he missed out on several podiums on Force India in 2012. I moved to 2013 thinking it was a little progress, and I thought that Sauber were going to progress from like the success that they had in 2012. They've had 4 podiums in 2012, but in 2013 they've been mediocre. It's just been horrible for Sauber. And other teams, Williams, Caterham and Marussia, I don't see them getting any points as well. Williams have been kind of in a shocker, and I didn't think it would be this bad for Williams. Obviously, it was vocal that the car wasn't as good as 2012, but the way it's been, it's been horrible for Williams. 2011 was a horrible season, but 2013 has been absolute shock over them. But that's all my Hungarian preview. Also recently, they announced for 2013. No, not 2013. That's what 2013 we are now. For 2014 race schedule, they announced that the Austria is coming back. The Red Bull Ring is coming back, which is great news for the for the historic F1 fans that have been watching F1 since like the Schumacher era, or even before that in the 90s. The A1 ring that it was called back then, now it's called the Red Bull Ring, has been probably one of my favorite tracks, historically, and it's a good track. Obviously, if they're going to use the same configuration track in terms of like, it was a short track back then, you were getting 70-second laps, and back then in like early 2000s, and imagine the lap times they're going to have next season. Probably around the same 70-second mark, even maybe less. So it is good to have the Red Bull Ring back on track. There was rumors that it was going to be back this season to replace what's it called? I think it was New Jersey that got postponed for a year. So we're going to have probably a 21 race season, unless they drop one track that they've rumored to be dropping a track, because I think they gave the Russian Grand Prix that was to debut next year as well. I think they were scheduled to give that date to around the time where Korea and Japan are. So it is rumored that maybe Korea, Japan, or Japan could be dropped. I'd rather have Korea dropped because is the track. It's not really a great favorite for the F1 fans. Suzuka's a historic track, so I don't see why they would drop that. But there have been rumors that Suzuka may be dropped. I don't know where, but I've heard that. But yeah, it's good to have the Red Bull Ring back. It's good to have New Jersey and Russia as well debuting, but I don't know which track is going to be dropped, if they're going to have the 20 race, or they might have the 21 races to keep all the tracks. But I sincerely hope they don't drop another European track to add an Asian track. Just it's been like that for Bernie, just dropping the classic European tracks. But they brought back a classic European track. I hope they don't drop one. Just it's been the way this has been for Formula One. It's all about money now. But anyway, guys, that was just a quick talk about F1. Talk about Hungary and talk about recent news. And I hope to be doing these probably weekly, or probably every time a race comes on. So yeah, I haven't done these in a long time. Last time probably I've done them in probably was for China or something, or for Malaysia. I've last talked about F1, but yeah, guys, hope to bring this back, and hope to bring it back weekly maybe. And leave down in the comments of what your opinions are for Hungary, and what you see back in this series. But yeah, guys, until the next time, this has been AF Nino, and for Hungary, peace out.